Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nayri, also known as Wedding Fashion Expert. Today we are talking about dress sizing and measurements when it comes to wedding dresses and bridesmaids dresses, how it works in the world of bridal. I am going to fill you in. Before we get into it, please be sure to like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below. Let me know if there's anything that you'd like me to create a video on or anything that you're interested in. I am here for you, guiding you along the way, leading up until your special day. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. I am so honored that you have found me. I am, of course, a wedding fashion expert, and I wear many different hats at LOVELLA Bridal, located in Los Angeles, California. I am so obsessed with what I do, and I'm just so honored and privileged to get to do this work. For daily content, please be sure to follow us at LOVELLA Bridal, at LOVELLA Plus, and lastly, at Wedding Fashion Expert. Now, when it comes to measurements and sizing in bridal, whether it's a bridal gown or a bridesmaid's gown, the first thing that people get really freaked out about are the numbers of the sizing. So for example, I am a size 4 in regular clothing. However, in bridal, I fall on the size chart. I typically fall into about a size 8, 10, or a 12, depending on the designer. I know that that sounds crazy, so don't panic when your stylist takes you to the size chart and you're lining up your bust, waist, and hip measurement to the sizing, and it is a larger number than what you're accustomed to seeing in regular street clothing sizing. Just as I just mentioned, the bust, waist, and hip measurement, those are the measurements that determine what size you order. Many brides assume or think that gowns are custom sizing and made to your body. Most designers no longer do that. Some still do. However, there isn't really a great benefit of having custom measurements or a size on the size chart, and the reason why that is, if let's hypothetically say we took custom measurements and the gown was made to order based on your body dimensions. Well, if you think about it, in 6 to 9 months to a year from the date that you're placing the order, your body dimensions typically change. Some people don't, but many people do. And I've even done custom measurements on brides whose bodies don't change. The measurement stays the same. However, the dresses still don't come fitting perfectly. So what happens is the reason why we stop doing custom measurements is because even if your body doesn't change, there's no guarantee that the gown that's being custom made for you is going to fit you perfectly. You still have alterations. It then slows down production time for the designers by stopping and making a gown specific to someone's measurements versus cutting it from a size chart. So much easier for designers. That being said, majority of designers just stick to the size chart. No matter which way you spin it, alterations are a no-brainer. They're going to happen. It's impossible for a wedding dress to come in fitting perfectly. Well, technically it's not impossible. It is possible, but it is so beyond rare. I feel almost 100% confident saying it's impossible because I have yet to have any gown not need a single alteration, whether it's a little nip and a tuck at the bust or perhaps even a bustle. You must have a bustle unless you don't want one and you want your train to be dragging all night. That being said, this is why there are just the bust, waist, and hip measurements being taken. Then we take those measurements and line it to the size chart. Now let's get into how to measure. So your bust is measured typically with a bra on, and it's smack in the middle, right where your nipple hits your nipple to the flat of your back. So it is a perfect middle of the way where your bust hits. That's why we ask you to wear a bra to hold your bust in place, and then we take your measurement from there. The measuring tape is to fit snug, not super loose and not so tight that it's digging into your skin, but just snug enough where you can barely wiggle it side to side. Your waist measurement is taken if you were to bend to the side. Where that crease is at your waist, right when you bend, that's where you take your waist measurement. The snugness of the measuring tape is the same as I just described for the bust. Then it comes time for your hip measurement. That is going to be with your feet close together, so you stand completely feet side by side next to each other, touching. And you're going to take the measurement at the thickest part of the booty, mid booty. So smack in the middle, nice and snug, the same concept. Based on your bust, waist, and hip measurement, we then line you up to the size chart. Based on those measurements, that's the size that's ordered. So let me use my body as an example. My bust and my waist are very proportionate that line up beautifully to a size chart. However, my hip is my leading measurement, meaning my largest measurement of my body. That puts me into a larger sizing because my bust and my waist fit into a smaller size, my hip fits into a larger size. So therefore, I would order the larger size to accommodate my hip and take in my bust and my waist. For many of our brides, their bust is their leading measurement. So we would take the largest measurement, which would be a bust perhaps. We order based on your bust size and we take in the waist and the hip. So no matter which way you spin it, alterations are being done. And of course, there are some bodies that fit beautifully aligned into a size chart. I am not one of those brides. Now, let's say I was doing a ball gown and really the only measurements that matter are my bust and my waist. Well, then at that point in time, I could go with a smaller size because I'm only accommodating my bust and my waist, and my hip doesn't matter because it's a large ball gown. So it's okay if that measurement doesn't align in the size chart. Now let's address length of the gown. So a lot of people have asked me about the hollow to hem measurement. Your hollow is considered right where your collarbone would be. And essentially, your hollow to hem measurement would be from your hollow, so right there, all the way to the ground. However, this gets tricky because all gowns come in a standard length, right? So let's just say that. So when you order your dress, it's a bust, waist, and hip measurement, comes in a standard length. If you're shorter, the gown is going to be hemmed to you. If you're tall and you need extra length, manufacturers allow extra length to be ordered on dresses. So if you're super tall, you'll want to take that into consideration with the sample gown that you're trying on. Why do I not recommend a hollow to hem measurement? It's the same concept going back to those custom measurements in the beginning of this video. When you're doing a hollow to hem, what happens is each dress fullness varies, right? So the fullness of it, some go straight to the ground, others, if it's a big ball gown, it has to go out, right? So you would measure your hollow to hem with the gown on, and you have to make sure that you're allowing that space of how far out the skirt's going, essentially. There's also more margin for error. When I've done hollow to hem measurements, brides have changed their heel height and gowns have then been too short. Well, we can't make a dress grow in length. We can only shorten a dress in length, which is why we always want longer dresses than too short of a dress. I am personally not a fan of custom measurements in any which way you look at it. I think standard measurements are the way to go. They're just safer, it's more secure, and you're able to do more in alterations. This is also where you want to pick a store and a stylist that's an expert to help guide you along the way through this process. Some of you may be thinking, well, you're just saying that because you want to collect more money on alterations. Many people assume this. No matter which way you spin it, you're going to need alterations. It's just the nature of having a bridal gown and this process. Majority of seamstresses, and especially at LOVELLA Bridal, we don't charge you based on how much fabric we're taking. You're charged on opening and closing seams. So whether you're taking in 1/2 inch or 3 inches of fabric, it costs you the same. I'd rather you have more fabric than no fabric because then that gives us something to work with and something to do for you. Lastly, a lot of designers, now depending on the designers, they do charge a size fee past a certain size. So if there's more fabric that needs to be used for a dress, if you are a curvy or a plus size bride, you are to perhaps expect, depending on the designer and their size chart, a sizing fee. Not only is this sizing fee for additional fabric, but it also has additional construction. The larger the size of the gown, the more boning, the more fabric, and the more construction it takes to be able to hold you in and hold all the girls up beautifully. That being said, that is something that you want to keep in mind. Of course, many stores and manufacturers don't want to take the extra money, but there is extra labor that goes into it, and that is where that cost comes from. I hope that you found this video helpful. For more videos and tips like this, please be sure to tune in every single Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will see you in next week's video.